Hey everybody, it's Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Meltzner.
And I got a gremlin.
You got a little boy there.
I got a little boy. I got Garbage Boy Stink Man in my hands.
And you're watching episode 172 of the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast. Hopefully the mic quality is a little better than the last two episodes now that I got that little short up squared away. What are we talking about today, Victoria?
You know, I've kept basically all my Funko boxes and containers, and I have no reason why to. It's not like I'm gonna sell them. It's not like I'm gonna put them back in the box, but I have them all anyway because I'm a pack rat. Today we're talking about Camp in a Hard Place Part 2, which is the OAC episode of the month.
For
And
April.
we are also talking about Bad Company.
Yes.
For the AIOC, because I re-listened to our interview with Kathy Buchanan, and we said OAC a bunch of times, which got her to say OAC a bunch of times, and then she was like, oh, not OAC anymore. AIOC. Also, she said that she loves us, so that warmed my heart a lot.
That was a good interview.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're starting off with episode 865, Between Camp and a Hard Place, Part 2, written by Marshall Younger. I don't have much to say about this episode. Although I do have some games to play. Come play with me, Victoria. Come play with me.
No.
I've heard a lot of episodes of Bim Bam lately where Griffin's really harping on that bit.
I've re-listened to every single live show a billion times because the live shows are my favorite.
They're good, yes.
And I like listening to the live shows most of all when I'm delivering, so. My favorite new episode is Bird People and Earth Children. With the birds supplying food to people by leaving them full pieces of bread in birdhouses. It's like, we will now take care of you, Earth Children. And it's a live show.
I don't remember what it.
That was from like a month ago.
It's a new episode?
From like a month ago.
I don't remember this. Okay. Ignore my bad memory because I listened to so many episodes of Bim Bam. What happens in this episode of Adventures in Odyssey, Victoria?
In this episode, we have the continuation of everything from last time. I can't remember anyone's names. Olivia befriends the girl who was
Scarlet.
Yeah, Scarlet, who was mean to her and upset with her in the last episode.
Zoe and Elise, and there's Wyatt.
Wyatt finally concludes everything. He talks to Wooten, which broke my heart. He says the reason why he stays awake during those hours is because that's when the fighting is worst, where his dad is, in the Army or Navy. And that I think a bomb went off at that time.
Something like
once,
that, yeah.
When his mom was on Skype with his dad, and so he can never sleep during that time, and so Wooten was talking with him and stuff. Because Wooten confronted him about it. And Zoe and Elise.
Kind of. I mean, it was still Wyatt who was the one who volunteered, hey, Wooten, I'm not actually doing this because I can't sleep. This is the reason I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. And Zoe and Elise be friends, and Marcy do better than everyone else in the camp.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the episode. I'd say it's a lot less eventful than the first episode. Mostly because it's just basically them doing camp activities for the whole thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Which, I mean, it was a lot of the first one, but not as much of it as this one.
Yeah. It's mostly they do a lot in the first episode, but this is mostly just one or two camp activities just drawn out and stuff.
This camp sounds exhaustingly scheduled. Surprising.
It reminds me of Pines a lot.
But
just for so many reasons.
It sounds like the density of activities they're doing is more than what we ever did at any summer camp.
Okay, but I feel some of the activities that they did reminded me so much of the stuff they did at
Well, yeah,
Pines.
yeah, the
Like
hiding the
specifically.
thing and all that, like the Mission
Yeah, and
Impossible
like do you
stuff, yeah.
remember the animal game where like all the different counselors were animals and then
Hmm.
you had to like get points for certain ones?
Yeah,
I was really reminded of that one
yeah.
during this.
Um, okay, so Wyatt in this, he continued having at two different points in this episode, like his like fake facts that he has, which is a thing that was also in his first episode in the Sandwich Initiative, where it's like, this is what the word picnic means. And then in this one, I don't remember what the first one was, but a second one where it's like 47% of raccoons have rabies, and 47% of rabies are fatal, and 47% of fatalities are permanent. And if you die, you've lost a huge part of your life. I was like, I really like, that's a fun character trait for a character, is that they have
There's
all
like
sorts of fun facts that
so
are just
many
like very clearly incredibly fake.
so many like quotes and characters and things that like I watch and listen to nowadays. Just like because I've been watching so much of The Office for the first time these past couple weeks, just make me think of Michael Scott. Like so many characters say things. I'm like, that sounds like something Michael would say.
I'm glad you're getting in the cultural zeitgeist like a decade late now.
Yeah. Do you know you gotta calm down or whatever, like that Taylor Swift song?
The new one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't heard it, but I'm familiar with its
Yeah.
existence.
I Todd in the Shadows, that guy who I
Mm-hmm.
watch review music,
Yep.
he said it's like if Michael Scott wrote a ballad, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the best description of that song I've ever heard.
So, yeah, for Wyatt, I was really glad. Like, I mean, my guess from previously was that Wyatt didn't want to go to sleep because it was like, oh, he doesn't like being alone because we know that, his mom is working a lot and his dad isn't around. He just, like, doesn't want to be alone. He wants to talk to someone and feel like he has company. And I'm glad that even within the realm of, like, what they settled in on, it wasn't just a general, like, oh, I can't sleep because I'm worried about my dad. I really liked the extremely specific nature of the way that his trauma manifested itself, where it's not like I can't sleep because I'm worried about my dad, but like I can't sleep between the hours of 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. specifically because 12 is when my dad's like call cut out, and then 2 a.m. is when we found out that he was okay. And so now every single night I'm worried that between that window that something could happen, and I feel the need to check the internet on my phone compulsively to see if I'm going to get a message from my mom or my dad or like a news alert about their base being attacked or whatever, to know if something happened to him.
I really like Wyatt. He reminds me a lot of Lawrence. Like they're super different, but I see a lot of similarities between the two of them.
That's valid, yeah. Um, I liked how Connie shut down Olivia's expectations about why the teams were switched, because it's really rather condescending of Olivia to think that like the arrangement was because Scarlett needed Olivia to be her friend. Like, oh, I was put on Scarlett's team because, they need me to help her.
Connie was just so Connie and Wooten both these past couple weeks. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is my life right now. While listening to it, like dealing with all these kids and them running up and being like, "Why did you do this?" And you're like, "Because I was like when a girl walked up to me this morning and she looked down at me and she was like, "Why are you laying on the ground?" And I was like, "I'm sleeping. Go away."
Yeah, it's like almost felt like Olivia had taken on this savior complex, and she couldn't self-reflect on how she was behaving until she found out that she was the one who was supposed to be learning something, and then that made her like focus inwards and realize like, oh, that's not how I should be thinking about my relationship with Scarlett. And I also like that the forcefulness that she showed at the end when she was like, you know what, this is what Scarlett needs, and this is what I'm doing. Give me your phone number. You're coming to my birthday party. We're gonna be friends. End of story. And then Scarlett's like,
And then Scarlett was like, "Well, I guess you're coming to my birthday party." And I was like, "Yes,
Scarlett's
this
like,
is what friendship is."
you've impressed me. You guts, I respect it, kid. And it's good. And then finally, with Elise and her storyline, I liked how her motivations behind her, like, enthusiastic participation was her appreciation for the privilege that she had, basically. Like, she was taking a hold of the activities, opportunities that she was able to do because she appreciated the fact that she could do it when lots of her siblings could not. And so it was cool, like, she's, like, recognizing, like, oh, I'm being able-bodied as I am, that gives me, like, an opportunity to do stuff, and I need to, like, take advantage of that
I think
privilege I have.
Zoe's reaction to that was so good. She's like, so what do you think, Zoe? Zoe's like, let's do the next game. And I was like, man, that would be me if I was Zoe.
So the theme of the episode overall was the concept of just, like, taking on challenges and doing things that are hard. Like, you know, sometimes we can't just take the easy way out with stuff. Which finally explains what the name for the episode means, because I was confused about it after part 1, because I was like, between camp and a hard place would imply that you were trying to make a decision about something.
Did I tell you that I found out, I think I did, what between a rock and a hard place is about?
You mean like the actual origin of the phrase?
Yes.
I think I've heard it before, but I do not recall.
I found out in Greek mythology class while we were studying the Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, when Odysseus was coming back home at one point, there were like these two monsters. And one was, and like, only one applies, I think, at this point. I could be wrong. But one was like, if you wanted to sail the ship, he had two options. He could either sail it towards the monster and risk like all of his men getting killed in the boat to try and get through, or he could try and sail it like by all these rocks and stuff, which would probably destroy the ship and also get a lot of people killed. And this way they would 100% not have a ship anymore. So we basically had to decide like which one he wanted to do. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like that was one of the most interesting, useful things that my mythology professor told us from what you know of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The video documentary for this episode is about Bob being at a different camp from last time. He's doing some camp stuff. He does some hatchet throwing, like little tiny hatchets.
Wit.
And I literally remembered Wit's terrifying axe throwing skills less than a second before Bob brought it up in the video.
Dude, I think about that every day. I wake up in cold sweats thinking about that stuff.
I don't know how I've become complacent with that information, but evidently it happened, and I won't let it happen again.
Yeah. You forget. That's when he gets you.
Yeah.
He takes advantage of that.
Shows
you gotta
up,
be careful.
Manifests in your house like snakes.
Yeah. Like Solid Snake.
Connie, I'm trying to infiltrate this base.
Wit! No! Wit! That's literally all I know about the Metal Gear series. That, and apparently there's one game where it like has a fake out death, kind of like at the end of the Hitman game, where it makes you think you died and stuff, and it has like a fake ending, and then it's like, oh no, you're still playing. Got him.
Got him.
Got him.
I always think about the one, I think it was 5, that had like the 4-hour cutscene. No, it was 3 hours. It was literally 3-hour final cutscene, and how like Dan was visiting. He was in Texas and he was visiting Gav, and Gav's like, "Oh,
I remember that.
B, we're gonna go to the pub tonight." And Dan's like, "Yeah, B, just let me finish playing the game. I'm in the final boss battle. Just let me watch the final cutscene, then we'll go to the pub." And he's like, "Oh, right, B, I'll just sit here and watch this final cutscene."
What does B stand for when you call it?
It doesn't stand for anything unless it's just like babe, I guess, kind of thing.
I mean, that's what I assumed it was.
But yeah, and then they just sit and watch the cutscene and just going and going and going, and started at 9 p.m. and then it finished at midnight. And they were like, "That's
the guy who made that's the guy who's making
Kojima, yeah, Death Stranding."
I was telling someone on my birthday about the disc blowing up thing, and they're like, "You can't do that. You can't blow up. You can't rig someone's like gaming system to make the disk explode inside their machine
It
if they
wasn't
lose the
exploding.
game
It
or whatever.
melted down and oozed a blood-smelling and looking substance out of the disk drive.
Kojima scares me like no one else.
Okay, so I have two different games from the WebQuest here for us to play.
Um,
Both are, I guess, ones that we've done before. The first
okay.
one is of great because it's a favorite segment of Griffin and Justin every time that Travis plays this game, especially during live shows.
Riddle me, Pam.
Nope. So I'll cut out the part where I get Victoria to supply me with some words
Oh
of
no.
varying types of speech.
There's like I listened to a couple weeks ago. I listened to what does he call them again?
Sad libs.
Yeah, I listened to a Sad Lib and I was actually like in agony the whole time. Like I hate them so
Well,
much. Do
perfect.
you
Okay.
like them?
I mean, I enjoy the Schadenfreude of what it does to Justin and Griffin. Okay, we're gonna cut here and then we'll cut back while Victoria comes up with words. One, go.
Oh no, what did you make me do?
Okay,
That's
so
another Taylor Swift song.
look what I made you do.
This is on you. If it turns out bad, this is on you. You
Okay,
enabled me. You
so Victoria's come up with words for our sad libs. Okay, Wooten's letter home. It's been an exciting week at Camp What. This is the preamble. It's been an exciting week at Camp Whatnot. Wooten wants to tell Penny all about it, but he needs your help. Print this page, ask friends, blah blah blah. This is Wooten's letter about camp, just like Connie used to write to her mother, with Victoria's words supplied. I have to cut back and forth because I didn't edit the PDF. I should be able to do this, all right? Dear Penny, I can't believe camp's almost over. Has it been 13 days already? Tonight is the big finale where all the campers jumped and the counselors painted. It's going to be great. I wish you could be here to see it. I hope your annual Gremlin exhibit at the art gallery was a smashing success without
Jay's
anything
there.
without anything actually getting smashed. We all learned trashy lessons this week. For example, never go hiking in the woods without a Jesus and rabbit repellent. Connie won't make that mistake again. Very fitting. And when Olivia Parker is about to shoot an arrow, don't yell hoopla in her ear. The new hole in the camp's rose might be my fault. It's really hard to jump back
The
and forth.
camp is this like Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah. I also found out it's a bad idea to prop open your eyelids with graves, no matter how tired you are. It sure will be nice to sleep in my red kiss again. When you think about it, those late nights and bloodshot kisses turned out to be a blessing.
Wait.
I was like, God used me to help Wyatt, who had 0 Bible questions. I felt bad for his camp partner, Devin. While Wyatt was off watching bouncy frog videos with Scarlett, the games kept going. It's really hard to run a 3-legged race and the hula hoop relay by yourself. Believe me, I've tried. Just think, Penny, in 1,000 years, our own kids could be here at Camp Whatnot.
They're Highlanders.
Little Devin and Devin Bassett will be climbing buffaloes, tossing balloons filled with lip gloss, and trying to beat my record at the all-you-can-eat wizard bar. Well,
I mean, this is Wooten's letter and potentially his camp activities. Are you surprised?
nope. Well, I told you it was good words you picked. Well, I'd better be off now. I sure do hope you get this letter because I'm the one who delivers the mail, and I'm here. Hugs and boys, Wooten.
I'm gonna sign off everything I write from now on with hugs and boys.
My favorite part of your word choice is the fact that the blanks unusual boy name and unusual girl name by Victoria were both filled with Devin, which are both accurate.
Devin didn't agree with the first part, but his name's never on anything that is.
It's
sold
true.
in
Every
the
time
store,
there's like
so.
personalized keychains and whatnot and novelty name items, my name is never on them, so I'll grant you that. And it is about as common of a girl's name as a boy's name.
And
so.
before anyone says, I see Devin on things all the time, not the right spelling, you don't.
Correct. It can even be spelled with a Y, which is an extremely rare spelling, which I've never seen before, but I've heard about. The other game that we have to play is about the vast variety of different camps that exist out in the United States of
Are you
America.
looking on a Wikipedia page for
Nope.
all the different types of camp?
No, this is from the WebQuest as well. So I will. There's 11 camps here. I will read you the type of camp they are and a one-sentence description, and you are going to guess whether or not this is a real camp or a fake camp.
Okay, I can do this.
Okay, number 1, sea turtle camp. Visit aquatic habitat, swimming with hands-on fun, and visit lessons in marine biology and conservation.
Yes.
Yes, it's real.
Yes.
You're correct. Ding, ding, ding.
But you're not supposed to touch the turtles.
Number 2, pirate camp. Dress up as a buccaneer for 2 weeks of sailing, singing, treasure hunts, and friendly swordplay.
Is this gonna be like Drew's Watch Mojo questionnaire where all the videos were real?
Is it real or not?
Yes.
No, it is not real.
Why not?
Number 3, social enterprise camp. Over 6 weeks, wealthy kids explore the world of business planning and networking.
No.
Sadly, that is real.
You know, I figured this one was real. The thing is, now for this one and the last one, I'm just saying what I want to be real and what
I figured. Number 4, ice sculpture camp. Hit the ski slopes, make snow cones, and learn about ice carving, where it's always safety first.
I want this one to be real so badly, please.
It's not, I'm sorry.
Why not?
I also
Why
wanted it to be real.
I know. Focus should start these camps.
Number 5, spy camp. A week-long mission full of surveillance, code breaking, martial arts, and other secret agent skills.
This is real.
It is real.
Good.
Thankfully. Number 6, circus camp. A high-flying chance for kids to study trapeze, juggling, unicycle riding, and clowning around.
Yes.
Yes, it is real. Number 7, zombie camp. Battle with Nerf guns, learn survival strategies, practice first aid, and suitable for a zombie apocalypse.
I want this to be real.
It is, of course, real, because everyone's obsessed with zombies. Number 8, my personal favorite, box camp. Teams spend an entire week building forts and mazes out of cardboard boxes for fun and prizes.
They get to watch that one episode of SpongeBob a bunch of times. Imagine. You have to figure out how to put the graphic in.
Is it real or fake, Victoria?
Fake.
It is fake, yes.
I want it to be real.
Genetic engineering camp. Learn about DNA up close, cloning plants and small animals in a lab setting.
I don't want this one to be real. It probably is, though, because these kids will take over the world and clone everyone.
It is surprisingly not real.
Okay, thank God.
And yet...
we're safe another day.
And yet the wealthy kids do networking camp is real. I believe that's real only because there has to be a rich kids camp across the lake for everyone else to hate on. It's like that one, the Mabim Bam episode.
Which one?
The one where they were guest birding with, someone else, and he was talking about, how his family was on vacation in this small town, and they're, they found out from the people working at, the local tourist place or hotel, wherever they were staying, that the camp, there literally is an actual rich kids camp across the lake that everyone hates, and that they all ride around in a limo, and their parents are all diplomats and ambassadors and stuff. And he was like, how is this real? How is this real?
They had Jesse Eisenberg on a couple episodes ago.
Yes, they did.
That was crazy.
They didn't even say that was going to happen until it happened. I thought they were making a joke until I heard his voice.
Yeah,
They didn't announce that the week before, did they?
No.
I don't remember that.
They haven't announced any of the guest people lately.
I know. It's weird.
It catches me off guard every time. I was like, wait, it must be a different Jesse Eisenberg.
I was like, wait,
for the first couple of minutes.
Facebook movie Game Grumps, Jesse Eisenberg?
I kept on thinking about that the entire time. I was
Me too.
This dude was in Now You See Me 1. This guy was in Now You See Me 2. And I was getting so jazzed. And this guy played Lex Luthor. And
this guy was
head.
the Joker playing Lex Luthor. Okay, 2 more camps left. Firefighter camp. Campers feel what it's like to be a first responder with first aid clinics and kid-sized obstacle courses.
Yes.
That is real.
Speaking of firefighters, I burnt my finger really bad yesterday at work.
Hot glue gun?
I touched a pan against my finger.
Oh, at probably not the library then, I assume.
No, not at the library.
The other job,
then I yelled and I dropped it. And then I had to go in the car right after and drive for a long time. And I was like, this is fine. the steering wheel touching exactly where
Uh-huh.
I burned my finger.
Last camp is Hollywood Stunt Camp. From hand-to-hand combat.
Yes, Lawrence went there.
From hand-to-hand combat to 30-foot falls, pros teach kids how to perform movie stunts.
Cons, injury. It's real.
It is real. When you said Lawrence, I thought you meant like Lawrence from Odyssey and not
No.
Lawrence Sontag. I also like it really.
I like the thought that Lawrence Sontag was there with a bunch of like 6-year-olds.
Yeah. The thing I love about this description, it really sounds fake because they're like hand-to-hand combat and 30-foot falls with kids. But no, it's real.
Kids are bouncy. They'll get back up.
Kids are bouncy. Yeah, those are our games for today. I was glad there was 2 in this one. It's been a while since
I've
we
called
got to do
the
one of those.
kids at the reading club squishy. I was like, no, you can't do that. You're too squishy. You're gonna get squashed.
You're such a gamer, Victoria.
You're too squishy. You'll die.
Okay. Final thoughts on Camp and Hard Place.
I thought it was good. Not as good as part 1. I thought it was kind of like okay. I thought part 1 was a lot more interesting than part 2. I think the best stuff in part 2 was everything with Wyatt and the bits with the arcs getting resolved. But the rest of it wasn't really that engrossing compared to part 1. But I think it's like a perfectly serviceable episode.
Perfectly serviceable. The ideal thing that people want as a review on their Reddit.
I'm so self-conscious about reviewing right now because of listening to the Kathy review or interview.
Uh-huh. Well, she didn't write this
ago.
one. I don't think Marshall watches our podcast.
No, yeah.
She can tell him, though, if she wants to. It's in her hands.
I know. And that's what bothers me.
You can't let big writers, Victoria, silence the fear of.
Are you ever
being
thankful that
honest.
like not all the writers watch our podcast?
Oh, every single day.
Especially like the early on writers in Odyssey, like whoever wrote Change of Heart. I don't know who wrote Change of Heart.
It was probably Phil, honestly.
Probably, but he doesn't watch this. So.
He does not.
We're at the
I mean,
first
sometimes I also
episode.
wish they all did watch our podcast because I have a lot of things to say at them.
Oh, I bet you do.
I felt like, yeah, I agree with what you said. I felt like I liked the concept of where the character arcs ended on like a kind of a moral character developmental
I hope the
kind of
characters come back again. Like, I
level.
know why it's going to come back, but I want Scarlett and Elise to
Yeah,
come back.
I want to see more of this Olivia character.
Zoe, whatever her last name is.
Yeah,
Do we know? We probably
it's
know
Grant.
Zoe's last name. What?
it's Grant.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
I think we've only heard it like once or twice. Yeah, I felt like conceptually, in terms of like the character developmental place where all 3 of the arcs ended up, I liked them. Like what kind of I don't know, not like a plot twist, but kind of the reveal of the motivations for like Scarlett and Wyatt and Elise. I liked all of those things, but I felt the plot in part 2 that it took to get to those things was mediocre-ish, I guess, just like okay. I felt like it wasn't as good as like the characters themselves. I felt like the plot didn't do enough to live up to the characters, I guess. So, yeah, same as you. I like the characters, and I hope that we get to see Elise and Scarlett more as well, because I know that Wyatt is going to be coming back again.
Mm-hmm. Can confirm.
Yeah, and it just felt like part 1 had better setup for plot and better pacing of that plot than what episode 2 presented. It failed to like continue the bar that part 1 set.
Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at the list of episodes.
Yeah, it felt like the pacing.
Ooh, Rumpelstiltskin,
of
take
events
every thought
was-
captive and all for the guests.
Yes.
I'm excited to talk about those 3. I have things to say.
Have you listened to, which ones have you listened to already?
I'm 100% caught up on every Odyssey episode at the moment, and I
Okay.
have been for like the past week.
I caught a glimpse of the description of All for the Guest and was like, Victoria is going to like this one probably.
I screamed at the top of my lungs
Uh-huh.
while driving home in the car, and it came out in July. So I was like, thank you for the birthday present, Kathy. I don't know what the description for the episode is. I haven't seen it.
Well, it just clued
Uh,
me into like the characters that are in
yep.
the episode.
It says who's in the episode.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm gonna give this episode 3.9 out of 5.
I feel like that's fair. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. I feel like it has a lot of good stuff. It could have probably been maybe a little bit more polished, though.
Yeah, it just I don't know. It felt like there was kind of gaps in the like the development of the storyline for like I guess for Olivia and Scarlett mostly. It felt like
Mm-hmm.
after their like kind of fight in the tree and then towards the end I felt like there should have been at least kind of one more scene in there maybe. I guess,
Their
Olivia
their
had her
stuff almost felt like bookends in this episode to me.
I get like I feel like Olivia had all of the stuff that she needed to get from her end in terms of her conversation with Connie and stuff, but I felt like I wanted to get more from Scarlett.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to hear more of her like explanations and motivations behind her stuff going on after her like kind of reveal, I guess. And we didn't get nearly enough of that. And then also we like saw her being chased by an angry raccoon and then never found out how that rather dangerous situation got resolved and not even like
Mm-hmm.
as a brush off line, which I found odd. So I don't know. That's what I got.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to talk about Bad Company.
That sounds like a thing you would be ready to do. So I'll stop the recording right here, and then time to get you guys some more Blackgaard novel discussion. So we're back now. Everyone
So, quick disclaimer, if you haven't either read Rook's Ruse, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Rook's Ruse, the third Blackgaard book,
Mm-hmm.
or you haven't watched our review for the third Blackgaard book,
Which was the previous episode.
yeah, go do that now. Otherwise, you're going to be super spoiled, and lots of what we're about to say probably won't make sense to you. The third Blackgaard book is really good.
Which is
worth
such
your
a
time,
departure
I
from how this
promise.
podcast normally goes.
Because we're about to talk about single teenage mom Richard Maxwell and his sad, sad life of being a single teenage mom and how it
He's
does not work
the
out
grad
well.
book quote, yeah. Like life is so hard when you're a single mom and also a teenage boy with no children.
Oh my gosh, that is.
It's
Can we
that's
do like text post for Odyssey and that be Richards?
Yeah. I feel like that most fits Steve Harrington from Stranger Things, but immediately underneath him, it's not
Yeah,
bad for
number
Richard.
2. I need
Now,
to. I was thinking the other day, like maybe I should watch season 2, like finish season 2 of Stranger
you
Things.
should.
The only problem, and it'd only be for Steve, because I kind of like Steve in season 1 by the end of it, and I still like Steve and all the things I see about him online.
Yeah,
The only
he's a
problem
good
is
character.
I can't remember literally anything from season 1. So, and I don't want
That's
to
okay.
rewatch season 1.
That's why Netflix does recap videos. I didn't remember really what happened in season 2 when I started watching season 3, but Netflix is like, here's what happened. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about literally all of these things.
I need someone to like give me a recap of season 1 and also the first episode or 2 of season
You
2.
also need to finish Westworld season 2 because the SDCC season
Oh
3
right,
trailer was like
I almost watched
the trailer for season 3.
I almost looked at the tag on Tumblr and I was like I probably shouldn't.
Probably
But
not.
I think I did watch the first teaser for season 3 when
It
it
was,
originally
in
came out.
fairness, the first teaser was like, so like, is this the same show?
I
So,
didn't recognize Dolores until I looked at the comments because
yeah.
yes, I looked at the comments and people were like, "Look at Dolores at the end," and I was like, "That was Dolores."
Well, yeah, I mean, the trailer was mostly Aaron Paul being like, being all like Blade Runner kind of whatever, and I was
Um,
like, this is completely
Also, I'm
unrecognizable.
pretty much in the same boat for Westworld season 2.
Yeah, I know.
Whereas
That's why I brought it up.
I both don't understand and don't remember anything from this season. So,
Me too, and I
and I'm
have
not
watched
sure
all of
what
it.
episode I'm on.
Okay.
So that makes things fun.
Yeah. Episode 65, Bad Company, written by Paul McCusker. Very early episode. Very short, I realized as I was listening to it. Shortest episode in this album. It's only 17 minutes long. I realized
really?
this. Yeah.
I didn't actually look at how long it was. I was just thinking like, wow, this is
That's
short.
basically like 2/3 the length of most episodes nowadays. I realized how short it was when like the first scene with Rachel was them already going into the mall at the same time that she would rob it, and I was like, wait a minute. I look and we're only like 7. She got caught with the earrings when we were like 7 minutes into the episode. I was like, wait, what is pacing here? And then I realized how short the episode was.
Yeah. Rachel's only in 2 scenes. I was really sad about that.
I mean, I guess it's 3 scenes, but one of them is split in half with another one in the middle, so I guess it's 3 scenes.
2 things. One, I have listened to every Richard episode since we reviewed the book, except for
the I Slept Floor.
Eugene's Dilemma. And I Slept Floor, because that does not count. That is not actually Richard. I'm like Pearl. I'm like, that's not my baby. Yeah, that's not Richard, so I didn't count it. But I did listen to, starting at the Nemesis, all the rest of album 5, and I listened to Waylaid, and I listened to Homecoming, and my heart broke a billion times. So I listened to Homecoming. I did not cry, but I was also driving, so I try not to cry when I'm driving.
It's a good strategy, yeah.
Yeah. The things I hate most to do while driving, other than being pulled over by the police, sneezing is a big one.
Yeah, I hate that.
So I feel like I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And crying, because I feel like I'm enabling my own death.
Yes.
Also falling asleep. I don't like doing that.
I was gonna say that one too is another bad one in my experience.
I also listened to and isolated all the different parts he is in 25. The most impressive part, I did that on the OAC on my phone at work, which means I can't look at any like album descriptions as a reference for who he's in or like what ones he's in.
Yeah.
So I had to cheat and go on AIOO Wiki and look at his episode.
I was gonna say you should go on AIOO Wiki, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bad Company. What happens in this episode, Victoria?
This is Rachel's first and only episode. Hopefully not her only appearance in Odyssey, if you know what I mean, which you do.
She's going to appear in album 68.
So Rachel and Donna are friends. This happens in spring, I think, or around February, which we're going to talk about later, which is the only reason why I'm bringing that up. Rachel and Donna go to the mall after Mary says some things to Donna, like, Rachel might be a little sketchy, you might not want to hang out with her and stuff.
She's a little more forceful than that, but...
Yeah. And then Rachel shoplifts, and she runs away. Donna gets told she can leave by mall security. They talk. Donna decides she can't be friends with Rachel anymore. She goes, talks with her mom and stuff. Her mom reads her verse and stuff. B-plot, which I totally forgot about this B-plot. I don't know about you. Did you?
A little bit. Like, when I think about it, when I think of Bad Company, I think of Rachel, first off.
Yeah.
But then when I think about listening to the episode, I'm like, oh yeah, there's the other one too.
As it was starting to happen, I was just like, oh, I remember this. It makes you think about how they used to do weekly Odyssey episodes and how stressful that must have been, which we've talked about before on here. And Hal was sick. So they had an episode where Whit was sick to explain why Hal's voice sounded different, because his voice is all stuffy, probably like mine is slightly.
Even though, as I pointed out in one of my notes, I've literally never thought that in this episode that Hal's voice sounded any different than it normally does.
I do think it sounds different, but I also think that I probably wouldn't have noticed unless they addressed it.
Yeah, I
because
never
it
would have
does
thought
sound,
anything.
his voice does sound stuffy. So Connie goes to a Bible study that is being like set up by someone at her school or something like that,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's sketchy.
the guy
And
who
then she
leads
tells
it. She
Wit that it's
refers to as
sketchy.
Mr. Grayson. So I don't know if he's a teacher or what, but it sounds like at
I
least the
think
other.
that is Dick Grayson, and Batman is canon to Odyssey.
It's true. Yeah, that would explain a lot. The
Um,
other people, at least, are her peers. It would seem.
I like calling Batman Bruce and Superman Clark, but whenever I do, no one knows what I'm talking about. I saw a guy wearing a Batman costume the other day. I called him Bruce, and someone's like, "Oh, do you know the guy in that costume? Is his name Bruce?" So I was like, "No, that's the name of Batman." And then I was watching Shazam with mom like 2 nights ago,
Hmm.
and then I said like, "Oh
Talking
yeah,
about
something
Billy.
something Clark in the comics, Clark and Billy, this happens and this happened." She was like, "Who's Clark?" And I was like, "Superman." But yeah, anyway.
It's fair. I mean, if was said like just Clark by itself, I
I was talking about
probably.
DC Comics though.
I know. If you're talking about comic books, honestly, then I hear Clark. My mind goes to Clark Gregg before anything else, like Phil Coulson.
Yeah, but if I'm talking about DC.
I know, but I'm just saying that's what I would think of. If you just say Clark by itself, my brain is not going to think of Superman. I'm not going to think of Clark Kent.
Anyway, so then
But
Connie
you're also a
tells
lot more into
Wit
comic books than I am.
that the Bible study was kind of sketch. And he's like, "Why don't we do a Bible study?" And she's like, "Okay." And it's never mentioned again. And then the episode
Yeah.
ends. I like listening to things where it's just like, this is never touched upon again in any way because it makes me laugh.
Yeah, I talked about that later in my notes as well.
I figured you would.
So at the onset, we start out with Mary being very
Passive aggressive. Actually, not even passive aggressive.
moderate aggressive.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like we talked about this fairly recently. I'm a little disappointed in Mary's lack of faith in Donna to not be able to like not only behave herself but to be a good influence on Rachel. And I understand how friends can be a corrupting influence, but it does go the other way too. And considering, as she points out, Donna has lots of other friends who are good influences, and I would hope that Mary could trust that the balance there would lead Donna to be a source of good influence, not a sink of bad.
I was
And
kind of sad. I was thinking about that line in the Blackgaard book where Richard
yeah,
said, like,
because that
I was
adds so
really
much to it.
hoping that Donna could be a good influence on Rachel, but then they stopped being friends, so
Yeah.
she lost that.
Yeah, all of these notes here would have been what I would have said already if we didn't have the context of the Blackgaard books, because we talked about this very same thing like a year or two ago in the episode with like Jules and Valerie and Connie. And we also talked about it with like about Jana and the psychic writer lady. And like, because Connie was like very judgmental of Jules hanging around Valerie. She's like, Valerie's like not a good person. I was like, Connie, Valerie's not going to get to be a better person unless she hangs around with like people who can be a good influencer. And then Jana is just like, I'm sorry, your beliefs are different than mine, so we can never see each other again. We're going to have to end our professional business relationship. And I'm still like mind blown about that. But like, how do you think someone will be affected if you tell them you want to spend less time with them / no time with them because they're bad and you don't want to be brought down to their level? Like, it's certainly not going to make them more amenable to anything positive whatsoever. Like, Then again, I'm just like with Jules, and even more so in Donna's case, I'm speaking with the perspective of an adult and not kids who are oft more impressionable than I remember. Jana has no excuse in this case, but like I get it. Like it's the same thing I think of every time I watch Spider-Man Homecoming and I'm like annoyed at the things that Peter Parker does, and then I'm reminded.
Is Jana a Christian? Okay, sorry, continue with what you're saying.
And every time I watch it, I'm like annoyed by the bad decisions that he makes and how impulsively he acts. But then I remember that he's a kid, and that is how kids act.
It's a little harder to remember when he's a kid, considering Tom is like a year older than me.
Yeah,
But he looks young.
And also how the previous films have often cast him as like people, as actors who are
Tobey
like in their
Maguire.
late 20s. Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to remember that, but it's also hard to remember because most media takes like kids and teenagers and makes them act way older and more emotionally mature than they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And so when something actually portrays kids the way that they actually are is kind of shocking. It's like, why are you acting so stupid? It's like, no,
I think
kids are
Odyssey does a good job at portraying kids like
just be
their
like
actual
that.
ages, though.
And so I do think I have to temper my expectations for like Donna being able to be a good influence without, being affected by Rachel. With the fact that like, kids are very susceptible to being influenced in ways like that. It does definitely go both ways. I just find it funny that like all the verses that they pull for this are about like, don't hang out with people who are bad and don't hang out with people who aren't Christians, period. I'm like, yeah, like the example that Jesus set when he didn't hang out with people who are shunned or looked down upon by society.
I remembered, I don't know why, I remembered this episode as when Rachel steals the jewelry, she puts it in Donna's bag.
That is not the case.
That is not what happened.
No.
So, like, when she didn't, I was just like, you know what? Good for you, Rachel. Because she could have done that, but she didn't. So, I feel like things could have been a lot worse.
Oh, definitely. It could always be worse, certainly. Yeah, and so all of those things, I would have already had all of those opinions before I was 1000% vindicated by the Blackgaard novel.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume you will probably want to go off on that more, so I'll let you kind of lead that.
I don't know about you, but I was constantly thinking of Richard throughout this entire episode and what his like reactions would have been to everything. I couldn't help but wonder if he found out like after it happened, because I don't think Rachel would have told him for sure.
No.
And she like went to go hang out with her friends after she left, so like she didn't go back home. And the thing is, we don't know how close Richard and Rachel actually are.
Yeah.
I'm so glad
because she was like a baby when he left.
She was 8.
Okay, she wasn't that baby.
No, wait. He left when he was 11?
16?
15.
15.
What am I talking about? She would have been 8. So, she lived with Rachel, or they lived together
with Melissa.
With that one guy from when she was 2 to 8.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but yeah, I don't know when or how Richard would have found out about the shoplifting.
You might not have found about this time, but I assume the next time after this is like when she got nabbed. Yeah. And it hurts so much because like all the stuff I just said would have held either way. But then when you see
then
Richard,
you're listening to it now with the new perspective of, oh, this is going to happen again. She's going to go to juvie. Richard's not going to be able to see her.
Yeah, and Richard completely validates what I said. He was like, I was so excited when I saw that she was hanging around with Donna, and I was like, yeah, Donna's a good kid. She's going to be a great influence on Rachel. And then Donna stopped hanging around with Rachel. Rachel got worse. Rachel got caught. Rachel is in juvie and is still in juvie now.
And they say she's still there to this day, even though she's an adult. Yeah. I should have looked up how juvie works before we recorded this episode. I didn't. I still haven't done that. I need to do that.
What are you trying to look up?
I just want to know what would happen to her. And the thing is, we don't know how long she would be there.
No, yeah.
And like something, I don't think we really talked about this on the podcast, but I know you and I talked about this, is that we don't know if she would go into social services, which she probably would.
It sounds very likely.
I don't know what the relationship between getting out of juvie plus how long she'd be in juvie versus like what you have to do to go from juvie to prison once you're old enough. Considering she's only 11, I don't think for like shoplifting she's going to be in there till she's 18.
I don't think so. I also don't think you transfer from juvie to prison, I feel like, as far as I'm aware.
I feel like for shoplifting she shouldn't actually be there for that long.
No.
But I don't know if like the circumstances are different for her because she doesn't actually have any legal guardians that she's living with.
Exactly. There's a chance that they might have... I hate to think about it, but there's a chance that they could have extended her sentence to keep her a ward of the state for longer, just to prevent like having to deal with all the extra stuff of finding a replacement when she gets out.
They probably did. Listening to Homecoming, this is where things get really messy because they say 2 years pass from applesauce to waylaid.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is, I don't know if they're applying those 2 years to Richard's age. Because I know they're not applying it to Connie. I know they're not applying it to Eugene. Which is why
We don't know they're not applying it to Eugene.
This is why it gets kind of frustrating. Because I'm assuming they're probably applying the 2-year age gap to Richard.
Yeah.
Which means he would be 21.
I would assume so, because that's kind of his whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like 2 years
So
of
that
my
means
life.
he's
2 years of
21.
my life, and I'm still the same age now.
He's 21 in, like, album 10.
Uh-huh.
Which means Rachel is potentially 13 now. And she might still be in juvie.
And if she isn't, then she'd probably be in, like, a halfway house or a foster home or something.
Which hopefully would be near Odyssey, but we don't know. I'm hoping we find out in later books.
I'm sure we will, because the books are all about Richard.
The books are all about Richard, and the way I'm looking at it is I'm so happy the books are about Richard, because honestly, this is what his character needed. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yeah, this is so good.
Because, like, he could have had so much more depth, and they saw the potential in that, and they're, like, using that. Whereas I feel like other characters like Glossman, they're giving him so much more depth, and Blackgaard, I don't even know what the heck's going on there.
I don't know. We barely heard from Blackgaard in these books, apart from, old Professor Mongol and all that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't know what's going on there. But, like, Glossman, they're like, let's give him an ex-fiance. Richard, let's explore all his backstory and this stuff with Rachel. Blackgaard, we're gonna tie these into the Young Wit
Blackgaard,
books.
we're not gonna talk about his identical twin brother. We're not gonna mention him at all. But we're gonna talk about the crazy old professor man on the search for the magic holy grail cloth.
But the thing I really love is it takes full advantage of being called the Blackgaard Chronicles, and is like, nah, man, this is gonna be fully from the villain's point of view, basically, which is really good.
It's like the Maleficent version of, like, the Blackgaard
saga.
Yeah,
definitely. It's like it's like Wicked, but like if Richard was Elphaba, and I'm so into it.
Blackgaard's the wizard, I guess.
Honestly, yeah. So Richard's gonna find out that Blackgaard's his dad.
Yeah.
Oh, could you imagine that? Oh,
given what we know now,
that would mean Buck is the son of Blackgaard. I hate that. Never mind. Dude, why did this happen? Why is your theory true? Why is your most pun not intended Buck Wild theory coming to fruition?
I put the Buck and Buck Wild over here on the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast.
Did you ever think that I hate you so much right now? How dare you do this to me?
Oh, so good. The Bible study in this episode is very reminiscent of Dr. Trask's study in the GRC. I think.
I want to say I'm not only happy with Connie's like B-plot in this story, I'm also impressed that they decided to touch on this topic like so early on in Odyssey's run.
Well, it kind of ties in, right? Because all of the episodes in album 4 had like a common purpose to them.
Yeah,
which I'll touch on. Yeah, I'll touch on as I have before you with the bonus feature from the guide about it at the end.
Haven't you read that every single time?
Yeah, because it applies to the whole album. So whenever we talk about an episode from this album, I'll read it again.
Oh, I really quickly, before I forget, because I was going to mention this earlier when talking about Richard.
Yeah.
The opening scene of Homecoming, when he's talking to Irish dude, sorry.
Wait.
What's his face?
Opening scene of Homecoming.
The Irish policeman.
Oh, Detective O'Reilly.
Yeah. So he's talking to him when he comes in at the police department, because Richard has to check in.
Yeah.
Before he goes into Odyssey, because of everything. And so O'Reilly's like, so what are you coming here for? I can't.
Go, yeah, please, no, go on.
And Richard says, I'm here to visit family. And he pauses. And he says, and friends. And I'm like, please, Richard, tell me more about this family. that you're coming to visit.
Uh-huh.
And if that is not either one, a huge lie, or two,
You're coming to kill Osgood Brownlow.
only Rachel. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping he sees Rachel.
I'm
once we get to
sure
Homecoming.
when the books get to cover Homecoming, there is going to be a lot more kind of detail in the other visits that he makes on that little whistle stop tour.
So the way I'm looking at the books is I'm going to be super sad as the series goes on in regards to Richard's character, because we're not going to get as much Richard as we are currently getting as it goes on.
Yeah.
Because he just decreases in screen time over time. There's going to be Homecoming, which is going to be really Richard based. We're going to get a lot more Richard stuff in Waylaid, which is going to be cool. That one episode where
I wonder do you think they're going to squeeze one bad apple into like the beginning of the Waylaid one somehow? Because
I have no idea.
That's the only episode that's between 5
I'm thinking they either somehow find a way to squeeze it in.
They flash it
but
back
if
from
they
Tom
do that,
Vermeer.
they'll have to find something to go along with it that's
Yeah.
not Waylaid, which will be kind of awkward because
Yes.
they'll be like, what does this have to do with anything?
Exactly.
The way I think they should do it is I think they should wait until
Tom
any
Vermeer.
of the mayor stuff is mentioned and
Yeah.
then do Bad Apple and flashbacks.
That definitely makes the most sense. You're correct.
Because I've been putting a lot of thought into this. So because we're going to lose Richard, the other scene I'm most looking forward to is his stuff with Rodney, because he basically just goes on like a secret agent with Rodney, and then he's like, oh, Blackgaard, you look like crap. Hey, Glossman, you suck. And they're like, okay, we're going to murder you now. And so the characters, the way I'm looking at it is, we're going to lose Richard, but think about all the amazing characters we're going to get point of views from. We might potentially get Rusty point of view. We're going to get Rodney, who freaking cries when he loses the Bones of Wrath, which broke my heart. We're going to get Jellyfish, which is going to be interesting. He's probably going to think about Richard a lot and the stuff that they've been through, so we might get some detention flashbacks.
Probably.
Which
well, I'm sure we'll
get that in Waylaid anyway.
Yeah.
Which I'm really excited for that.
In a very depressed kind of way.
We're probably going to get Billy.
Uh-huh.
Probably going to get Butch.
Yep.
Which I'm really excited about that. Sam, Jack, Jason. Because we get everyone.
Tasha.
We're going to get Eugene during Eugene's dilemma, which is going to be so far out.
You mean the time has come?
I'm so excited for that. That is what I meant.
We're probably going to get Tasha during Name Not Number.
Ooh, that'd be cool. We're gonna... Who's the other person?
I'm just Victoria.
I'm not 100% sure what they're gonna do with this scene point of view wise, but we might potentially get what's his name? I almost said Gene Kelly. That's a dancer and a singer in musicals. Greg Kelly.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. During like Greg Kelly's scene with Blackgaard,
I want to get inside Pinky's motivations, you know?
I was thinking we might get Pinky point of view, but I was like, I don't know if they'd actually do that. Whose point of view do you think they're going to do in the Greg Kelly scene?
Blackgaard, probably. It might, if anything, it's probably going to go back and forth between Greg and Blackgaard.
Because I was thinking, like, in Waylaid, they don't actually say Blackgaard's name until the end of part 1.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if they were going to do something like they do with the first book, where, like, they don't say his name until the last line. But also, this is the Blackgaard Chronicles, so we, like, freaking know who he is.
It was pointed out in the comments on our review that, and this might be different from the preview version that we reviewed versus the published version, Blackgaard doesn't show up in the first book. He's in the first book, but only in the preview of book 2. So maybe they took that and moved it to a preview, that last scene.
Oh, that's weird. Wait, does that mean he's not in the conversation with Glossman in the first scene?
I don't know. That's all I got from the comment.
Okay. I'll have to look into that.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I don't know, Victoria. I have no idea.
Because he doesn't, like, physically show up until the end.
Maybe that's what they meant.
But, like, he's there, and you also get his point of view, I think, maybe, at one point.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
I don't know.
I was also thinking about, like, when Blackgaard runs into Jason in the jail cell in not Sweden. Where is it? Where's Interlaken? Is it Sweden?
Probably. Edwin. We're gonna get Edwin's point of view. That's gonna be cool.
It will be good. I definitely want to get inside Edwin's head.
I want to get inside Edwin's head so bad. I'm really looking forward to the scene where Jason goes to the to Edwin's theater, and then he like has the conversation with Blackgaard that's later recorded. I really want to read that scene really bad. There's a lot of good Jason scenes.
When Blackgaard and Jason meet up, and Blackgaard is like, I know your father and stuff, and yes, we tried to work together, and all that stuff that he says. I really want to hear that, like, reworded through the filter of, like, trying to tell Jason about, like, the Jesus cloth and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I'm just imagining Blackgaard's like, I know your father, and Jason's like, wait, you know my dad? And Blackgaard's like shoving the note farther down in his pocket so Jason can't see it. He's like, maybe.
He's like, it's like the meme of like the person explaining down at like the lady under the blankets. It's Blackgaard trying to explain to Jason about the healing cloth and Professor M. So coming back to what you said before, Connie and the Bible study. It's funny to me because like, Wit is like, oh yeah, we'll create a Bible study for your friends and stuff, and obviously nothing comes of that because that happens in the show all the time. But it's funny because this is the same album where Connie also creates a Bible study for the kids, and that not only appears again, but it appears again and again and again for years and decades to come, and like compared to
28 and onwards.
Yeah. And compared to like Wit's offer, you know, to create that Bible study, and then it just
do you think he forgot because he's old? Do you think he was delirious in his sickness?
In his sickness, yeah.
And the next day, Connie was like,
he thought it was
so
a
Bible study?
dream.
He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Get back to work.
Yeah. It goes absolutely nowhere. And then the next episode after this is Choices, and Wit's like, yeah, Lucy, we're gonna start a newspaper to talk about it. And void fished out.
It's like that meme is like. And John Mulaney was like, and then I didn't.
Rachel has a line in here about like, you sound like my mom when she's lecturing me or something like that. And it made me sad to think about like the regularity of Rachel getting lectured by Melissa about like the things that she's done, knowing that Osgood was the one who taught her all of those things and like trained her and encouraged her and will probably like gently threatened her to not to keep quiet about it in the same
than gently probably.
Well, you know what I mean, in the same way that he did to Richard.
Yeah.
And it made me really
the thing that kills me is that Rachel was raised and treated the same way Richard was.
Yeah.
But the thing was Richard got out of it a lot healthier than Rachel did.
He got out of it.
Not only did he know how to like use his skills to the best potential he could, he also kept true to his morals a lot more. But I'm going to attribute that to the fact that he was older than she was and stuff. So
it's also the fact that Richard was able to be the one who got out of that relationship, whereas for Rachel, she was abandoned in that relationship.
Not that Richard's ever been abandoned by literally every single person.
No, I know, but I'm saying in that specific relationship, even after all the hurt he went through, he was the one who was able to say, I am going to leave this behind by my choice. And he did that.
I thought they told him to leave, and he didn't have a choice.
You might be correct about that.
Yeah, they told him to get out, and then he did.
Yeah.
And his mom said she didn't want to see him ever again, and so he left to find his dad, so...
Okay, point rescinded.
It was not by choice.
You remember it a lot better than I do, because I only read it once. Yeah. There's two things from the guide here. Like I said before, behind the scenes. Wit's flu-like symptoms recorded in this episode were very real. Actor Hal Smith was ill the day the episode was taped, but like a true professional, he showed up to work anyway.
Dude, I'm a true professional.
The original script called You're a True Professional in every episode.
Thank you.
The original script called for Connie and Wit to talk at wit's end, but because Hal's voice was so noticeably affected, arguable, the
I
team
would agree with that.
so noticeably affected.
Okay, maybe not noticeably, but like noticeably.
That's what I mean. I don't think it's noticeable even, and even you wouldn't say it's so noticeably affected.
Well, I mean, like, coming from their point of view, they hear him like every day.
Through the, yeah, and also not through the filter of microphones from the 80s.
Hey, they're good mics.
Well, they're not as good as they are now.
Yeah, that's how technology works.
You don't think the audio quality has improved on the voices between those episodes and now?
No, I'm saying like they have, but that's just how technology works.
Yeah, I know.
It gets better with time.
I know. I'm saying that we can't hear it as well from audio recorded back then as we would now.
Okay, yeah.
The team changed the script in the studio to have Connie delivering chicken soup to Wit's house. And then the other one, which, as we brought up right before, is about the whole album, the fundamentals of the faith. Connie's salvation had been a key storyline throughout the first year, climaxing in the episode Connie, Album 3. Now that she'd become a Christian, the Odyssey team thought a series of 12 episodes that explored the basics of the Christian faith would be appropriate. They intended to center all the episodes on Connie, but executive producer Chuck Bolte strongly suggested a more balanced approach was needed, which is why Connie appears in some shows, but other characters are featured in others. The challenge of capturing the essence of Christianity forced the production team to come up with some rather inventive storytelling. Whit took a fractured fairy tales approach. Jimmy Barkley lived out the prodigal son. We saw our first glimpse into Tom Riley's childhood, our only glimpse. And a bunch of body parts got together for a story about the importance of church attendance. Fundamentals pointed the way for even more innovation to come, such as the development of the imagination station.
Which we're going to talk about
soon.
Later on in a different episode.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but the entire time I was listening to this episode, I was constantly, like, every single time anyone said anything bad about Rachel, I was like, Richard's trying.
I know.
He's trying his best. It's not easy. I don't
it's
know.
so tragic.
I felt really bad for Rachel, and I felt really bad for Richard the entire time I listened to this. Like, I know I've already said this, but I'm so glad we reviewed this episode after the Blackgaard book came out.
Yeah.
Because, like, we would have talked about Richard regardless.
But we wouldn't have any level of insight into.
But yeah, we would have had no idea what we were talking about.
We also talked in the, if you haven't watched our Blackgaard review, we already talked in the previous episode. We kind of analyzed and theorized about the line Rachel has about talking about how her parents used to go to church and then they had a fight and then she didn't and then they didn't.
Yeah. So the conclusion we came to is Osgood probably did at one point and then stopped.
Yeah, well, he did because Melissa was, and he was trying to keep up the con. And then Rachel was able to create enough of a precedent that he was able to use it to stop having to go.
Do you think that Osgood kind of conned Rachel into stopping going so he could stop?
I think that with everything else he was doing to her, I'm sure it was just a natural progression.
Yeah. But, like,
I don't think he was doing it on purpose. I wouldn't be surprised
if he, like, pushed her a little bit.
I don't know if he'd have any motivation to do it. In fact, I feel like he would probably keep up the con better if they did keep going to church, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe.
Unless it was, like, their church was, like, really, like, personal, and they were trying to get to know him and stuff, and he was worried they would get too...
Richard went to church as a kid.
He might have been worried that they would get too nosy about their family and stuff, find out too much, and so he's worried that that might be like a compromising vector.
I'm so sad. This episode was already like kind of sad, and now it's just like heartbreakingly sad.
Yeah.
I need so much resolution to everything relating to Richard and Rachel in the books. Like,
I'm sure we'll get it.
Like I said in the review, the thing that really got me with the book wasn't the Richard stuff. It was the relationship between Richard and Rachel.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sucker for sibling dynamics and things.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. And when something bad happens, I'm just like, want to make me more invested towards a character, give them a sibling, and make it sad. Like, Sandersides did this a couple weeks ago. The reason why people like Marluxia so much more in Kingdom Hearts now is because he has a sister, which, like, I already love Lauriam, but that made him skyrocket
I
to,
was
like,
gonna
in my
say,
top 10 characters.
it's not like he wasn't,
Like,
favored already,
I
but
really liked Marley before Lauriam became a thing in Kingdom Hearts. I was one of the few that thought he was a cool character.
you were one of his like final bastion, his hollow bastion of
Yeah.
fans.
There's like the super fans like Jared, and then there's the people like me who thought he was really cool, and now like playing Union Cross and seeing like all the dandelions, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I would literally die for any of these kids.
Um,
And then I have Richard and Rachel. So like this past year, it's just like heaping onto me all these sibling dynamics that are just like tearing out my heart. These three sibling dynamic things have all happened like in under a year to me. And like it needs to stop or I'm actually going to die. Like I cannot emotionally handle this. But yeah. Like you gotta admit, there are definite parallels between Lauriam and Strelitzia and Richard and Rachel. And,
I
like,
mean,
how
I'd have
the
to think
reveal-
about it, but
like
probably
you have this like kind of
you don't have to explain it all,
antagonistic-
Victoria.
You have an antagonistic male figure in the series, and then it decides to do backstory, and it's just like, oh, here's this little sister. Something tragic happened, and now they just want to be reunited with them, and you're like, oh, my heart.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And then, so I guess, like, the world between or whatever, the final world is, like, Juvie, then?
Yeah, the final world is Juvie. Every time Sora falls asleep, he goes to jail. He goes to baby jail.
Okay.
Same.
Final thoughts on Bad Company. I guess I should go first.
It's super short.
It is very short. Definitely, I mean, objectively, we should rate it without taking into consideration the, like, stuff that was added 30 years later.
You know, I think it's fine if we take it into consideration.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to.
Yeah, I know.
I can't not. I
understand.
I can't separate this from what I know now.
I know. It was weird hearing Mary's old voice, you know?
Yeah. She started
She
talking.
sounded
I was
very
like, I don't know who this
sad
is.
in the first scene. Like, did she seem very, like, morose to you in tone?
Yeah, but I think that's just the voice.
It sounded like she was in mourning. I don't know. Like, it seemed extreme.
Yeah, but I think that's just the normal voice for the voice actor, though, is the thing. I think she sounded like either really sad or really tired, or maybe both.
Maybe both.
Maybe she was sad because she was tired.
Being a mother is hard.
So I was like listening to her. I was like, what did Jimmy and Donna do to you? If this is how, like, Mary sounds, how do you think Richard would sound if he was in this episode? He's just like, I can't deal with everything in my life right now. Why does Eugene think Richard looks familiar?
It has to be something in Chicago. We're going to find out about their secret backstory where, I don't know, they were dating or something.
Does Eugene have a backstory where he was working in the sanitation department in Chicago too?
Maybe.
Like, hey, that's why Richard looks
Maybe
familiar.
one day his dorm toilet was backed up and the city sanitation workers had to come be plumbers or something.
Oh, that's another thing I'm looking forward to in the album 25 stuff for the Blackgaard books. Is Eugene and Richard bonding.
Yes.
Because they have that one scene where they're working on computers together.
Yeah, I know.
And I will just like straight up listen to that
the
scene.
scene where Eugene is like,
so
I'm
good.
impressed by his computer skills, the one that we always talk about.
And then Richard's like, oh, thanks, and stuff. And, like, Eugene's all stressed, and Richard's like, do you want help? And he's just like, yes. And then they come out, and they're just, like...
that you were also technologically
being chums, and... like, Eugene, every time I listen to that, I'm like, I know Eugene's stressed and tired, and he's having, like, the most down part of his entire life up until now. And also in the future, basically, at this moment. But, like, him being like, oh, right, I forgot Richard was a computer dude. It's like, literally, he tried to ruin your life through computers. How do you forget that?
Did you Do you think that there's going to be a lot more like Connie Richard development in the books, and it's going to end with Connie and Richard like getting together in the books, and then we're going to be like, wait, what? And then the writer's going to be like, oh yeah, by the way, Connie and Richard have been dating in the show for the last.
I think you're saying Connie and Richard have been married ever since
yeah,
season
ever since then, and we
25.
just haven't brought it up. You know,
I don't think that's gonna happen.
that would be such a like a hilarious zag.
They share like 2 lines in Waylaid where Connie is just picked up by Blackgaard and just like full on hucked at Richard.
Yeah.
And Richard shoves her and he's like, move, get out of the way. And then he tries to shoot Blackgaard. So like I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna highlight that, put it under my column of Richard and Connie touching, because I think that definitely
you can like
applies.
You could paste their faces over the scene from the free season 2 OVA with like the dramatic like Rei, Nagisa, and Rin scene, because it's a water gun that Richard has. And, like they're like dramatic and Connie flying through the air and shooting the water gun.
Who do you think? Oh, I was thinking about this too, because I was trying to figure out the point of views while listening to all the scenes for the Blackgaard Richard stuff.
Yep.
Whose point of view do you think it's going to be in the water gun scene? And why do you think it's Connie's? I was like listening to the Kathy review. I was like, I wish we like put so many questions worded them as like, what do you think is this? And why do you think it's this? Like, I wish every time we asked a question, I was hoping we'd do that. We never did that once. And I was so disappointed in us.
We should finish talking about Bad Company. I feel like it's hard to talk about a lot of just purely what's in the episode because it's so short that the storylines are very like point to point. There's not a lot of like meandering or development to it.
Hold on to that thought.
It just goes so
keep talking
shockingly quickly. Yeah, listening to it from what I remember, I do like the points made with the Bible study stuff, like bring up the idea that like, I mean, Mr. Grayson certainly is right. Like, if you want it to, you can make scripture say basically whatever you want it to say, depending on like how you twist it.
I was at 2% battery.
But yeah, it's a good thing that Wit drives home the points about like how understanding our faith has to be a complex relationship between like our judgment and seeking advice from God and from other people and from learning from scripture, because if we are just seeking things from like one source or just another source, then it's really easy to have things like skewed out and away from us, especially because, as Mr. Grayson points out, yes, if you're just going off of the Bible by itself, you can make it say whatever you want to say, which is why we also have to seek God's will and talk to other people.
I mean, they weren't even going off the Bible. They were going after...
Well, no, they weren't, but I'm saying that is a line that he had in the episode, because Connie is like, shouldn't we read from the Bible? And he's like, I mean, the Bible can, like, say anything, and he's right.
Bible can mean anything you want it to mean, Connie. I love it. His voice sounds familiar.
I think it's
like,
Paul.
No, I mean, like, the intonation. I feel like, I don't know. Not just, like, the voice, but, like, the way he speaks.
Yeah. I think there's another character who also has, like,
he just sounded like
the same intonation.
Charismatic and slimy at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, and then with Rachel stuff, I mean, I think we've already talked pretty much about everything. It's very sad. I understand that kids are a lot more easily influenced by their friends to bad temptations and such, but I disagree with the idea that you should cut out everyone from your life that you're worried might be a bad influence, because otherwise you're not going to be able to have any good influence on anyone else. Like, it's literally, we're supposed to be in the world, but not of it. Like, you can't just isolate yourself from the world. That's what Telemachus was about.
Yeah. Telemachus is
always
good.
Applicable.
I can't talk.
I'm going to give the episode 4.2 out of 5.
I'm going to give the episode a solid 4 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5. I think it does good for what it's trying to achieve. It's very short, but it makes the most of the time it has. I feel like maybe one of the reasons why it's so short is they probably had to write it short notice, considering
It's weird because
Hal getting sick.
they didn't have shorts yet at this point, right? So did they cut stuff out? Because they had a broadcast length of like 22 minutes.
I feel like they would just have more ads.
That's a lot of extra ads.
I don't know. They might have made like a
because it's supposed to be 22 minutes without the ads, because then it's 30 minutes with the ads.
You'd ask someone, see if they remember at Odyssey. They might not. It was a while ago. How long has Odyssey been going again?
1987, which makes it'll be 32 years this year.
So it's like 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
Was that live show the 30th anniversary special?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking about the other day, I don't remember anything that happened in it except for Jules singing. I think I repressed it.
All I remember about it, literally
I remember it had Dr.
thing...
Julius Schnitzelbanker.
Oh yeah, it did.
And that's why I think I repressed it.
All I remember is that they did Over the Airwaves again.
Oh, I forgot about
But this time, they added in the songs from Legacy, but they changed the words to be about Over the Airwaves.
Yeah, I remember it was Over the Airwaves, but less good.
Yes.
Because I feel like they perfected it the second time they did it for Live of the 25.
Yeah.
And then it's just been increasingly bad in every other version, even though there's only 3. But 3's still a lot.
It is a lot.
Because it's a long sketch.
It is a long sketch. Okay.
They said, you know what that sketch needs to be? Longer. And then they wrote the 30th
and
anniversary
repeated.
Special.
Okay. What are we talking about next time, Victoria? You mentioned it earlier.
The What If?
Yeah.
We are going to do another What If. This one is another one of my ideas.
It's a very good idea.
Imagination Station was never created.
So y'all can muse on that until next episode.
You can think of all the things
that
we're not
going
to think of to say, and then tell them about us, or tell us about them by next time. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do next time. Until then, thank you for joining us on our side of YouTube. I've been Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Melstern.
Look how good he is. And by good, I mean bad. Why couldn't he have lived? Him and Repliku both.
He could have.
There was a body.
He absolutely could have.
There was a body right there. Repliku's like, hey, even though they're springing up bodies left and right, why don't I, instead of just letting it take, like, I don't know, another 5 days for Nominate to come back,